In this short video, we are going to look at how to combine multiple files in a folder using Power Query. So if you work in a big organization where you have multiple departments or several branches, sometimes you find yourself working with multiple files that needs to be consolidated. Now, one of the ways that we use to consolidate the data is to copy and paste the data from all these different workbooks into one workbook and then analyze it. Now, here we are going to look at how we can do everything using Power Query. So let's take a look at the data that we are going to work with. So now I go here within this folder, my source report here. I have data which is coming from 4 branches. Now the data is having the same structure and the same layout. So if you take a look at the data from branch A, we have date, we have the branch, and then we also have the product that they are selling, the details of the product. Then we have the sales quantity, and then the sales amount, as well as the total cost. When it comes to branch B, we have the same number of columns, but the data here is different. This data relates to branch B. When it comes to branch C, we also have the same data in terms of the structure and then the layout. So here we have the date, the branch. So here you can see that the branch is C. Then we also have the product details and then the sales quantity, the sales amount, and the total cost. It's the same thing that we have for branch D. So sometimes you find yourself working with this kind of data. Now, to be able to consolidate it, what we do is we copy and paste all the data into one workbook and then analyze it. But here we are going to see how you'll be able to combine everything in the folder using Power Query. So let's go back to Excel and see how you'll be able to do this. So here in Excel, I'll go to my data tab. Then I'll go to get and transform. So here I'll be able to connect to data from multiple or different sources. So here you can connect to data from a text or CSV, data from web, data from a table, or you can go to get data. So I'm going to click on the drop down and then go to file. And here you can connect data from a PDF or data in a folder. And that's what we are going to look at in this video. So I'm going to click on this. And now I have to locate where my folder is. So this is my folder, sales report. So I'm going to click on this and click open. And here you'll be able to take a preview of all the files that we have within the folder. So here we have from branch A up to branch D. This gives you the file extension. So this tells you that all the files here are Excel workbooks. Now, when it comes to this side, we have transform, load, and then combine. So if you want to combine everything into a single file, then you come to combine. When you click on the drop down, we have combine and transform, combine and load. So here you use this option when the data is already clean and you want to load it directly into Excel. But sometimes if you need to clean and transform the data first, then you need to come here. So here, after combining the data, you would have an option where you'll be able to clean and transform the data before you load it into Excel. So what I'm going to do is to pick the first option here, combine and transform data. So I'm going to click on this. And now within this navigator window, I have to select the files that I want to combine from each of the workbooks. So here it gives you a sample file. When you click on the drop down, you can see that all the files are here. All the workbooks are here. So what I need to do is to just select the sheet within each of the files that I want to combine. So if you take a look at the preview of the data, all the data that we are going to work with are in sheet 1. So that's what I'm going to select here. So I'm going to pick sheet 1. So it means that within each of the workbooks, this is the data that we want to consolidate. So I'm going to pick this and click OK. And now here we are in Power Query Editor. So here I'll be able to clean and transform my data. But here what I want to do is to confirm if everything has been combined. So here what I will do is to look at the first column, which has the source of the data. So here when you click on the drop down, you see that the data is coming from branch 1, but it's not showing everything. So what I will do is to go to load more. And now this will load the data for you. So here it tells you that we are loading the data from branch B. So we move from branch A, and now we are loading the data from branch B. Now we have moved to branch C. And finally, we are in branch D. So now we are getting the data from branch D as well. And now if you take a look at this, it tells you that the source of the data here is coming from branch A to branch D. I'm going to cancel this and go to the branch column. I'm going to click on the drop down and go to load more. And now if you take a look at the items that we have here, we have from A to D. This tells you that the data has been combined from all the 4 branches. So what I'm going to do is to cancel this, and then on the home tab I'll go to close and load, and then load the data into Excel. And now the data has been successfully loaded into Excel. So if you take a look at this, it tells you that we have 255 rows being loaded into Excel. So now when it comes to the branch column, when you click on the drop down, you can see that we have all the 4 branches here. And now when you also inspect the source.name column, you could see that the data is coming from branch A up to branch D. And now we have all the consolidated data within one table in Excel. Now let's see what happens if we add a new data. So now when I go to my folder, let's assume that we receive another workbook from branch A. Now we are going to add it to the folder, and let's see if that data will be added to the consolidated data. So to be able to do this, I'm just going to create a copy of this. So I'm going to copy this and then also paste it here. And now I'm going to change the name. So instead of branch D copy, I'm going to make it branch A. And then press enter. And now let's go to Excel and then inspect the data to see whether this new workbook will be added to the consolidated data. So I'll move on to Excel, and now when I come here, what I need to do is to refresh the data by just clicking on this to refresh it, or just within my table design, we also have this refresh option here, or when you go to data, we also have refresh. So I'm going to click on the drop down and pick refresh all. And now you can see that the data is being refreshed, and now it's loading the data again. And now you can see that we have 319,000 rows. And now when I come to the source.name, when I click on the drop down, now you can see that we have the branch E data being added to the consolidated data that we have here. So what it means is that the process has been automated. So any data that we are going to add to the folder will be added to the data that we have already consolidated. And this process is going to be there for you. So anytime a new data comes in, you just update your folder. Now everything is going to be consolidated.